there is still people who think what happened last year was not significant historically, right? So beyond the presence of thousands of people in the streets, most people don't know that the number of people who were killed last year is 3 times the number that were killed in the Saba Saba rallies of 1990. Wow. 3 times.
And Saba Saba was the big one in Kenya's history after independence.
Restored multi-party democracy. They became notorious. They were captured in the press. And then those governments decided that these are not the people that they should be giving bursaries to. They withdrew their bursaries.
Wow. Okay. That is something that's not even been on the news. We're hearing it for the first time.
Legislative agenda. What do you want? Legislation, for example, you've talked about, cases taking too long. Perhaps you could lobby politicians and, opposition and those in government to make sure those cases are, handled within certain timeframes. And also, I'd like to know what is there an International Abductions Act, and if there is such an act, can you lobby that Kenya joins that act? And also another issue I'd like to talk about. I saw you were in a debate with Aichungwa, and I would have wanted you to be more factual. You lost the debate, and I'm not happy that you lost the debate. You should have won that debate. You should have had the facts, and in the end, you should have said, "Look, this is what's happened, and we still have no convictions, taking too long, blah 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 blah." So I think you let me down. I have a lot of faith in you, and I look forward to contributing to your organization. I'm going to start, I have to support your organization. Keep doing the good work. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey,
all right.
Thank
you so much, Peter from Australia.
That Peter, he owes us nyama choma.
Yeah, he has
from Australia, kangaroo.
Yeah, he has details. Yeah, so maybe Rungu, you can start with a lot of people are asking, donate. Where are we donating to? And like some people here have mentioned, they've donated to Red Cross, they've donated to this and that organization. I see Tabitha saying donated to Sikimia, but people want to know, like with the efforts that you have, what are the places you recommend? And then of course, you can go back to answer Peter's question, maybe starting with the Kimani Chungwa interview. But I'll let you take the sequence.
Thank you very much. Let me start first of all with how can you get involved, right? I think there are maybe 4 or 5 different ways that people can get involved, particularly those who are in the diaspora. The first is, to remain, updated and informed about what's happening in the country, to participate in debates that happen online, to listen to shows like this and contribute. I think public awareness is just so important, right? Talking to your family members and so on, and creating a sense of respect for human rights is probably how we will uplift the country. Very directly. The second area is identify an organization that really, you are proud of, that you would like to see continue doing that work. You want to see them scale up that work. If you are concerned about issues of safe houses, Usikimwe is the best place to go. I'm very happy at some point to connect people. If you like the work around postmortems and pathology work, forensic evidence, the Independent Medical Unit is a great organization. They do that work. If you are impressed with, one of the most, iconic leaders that has come out of the sector recently, and that's Faith Odhiambo, the president of the Law Society of Kenya. You can make contributions to the Law Society of Kenya. They are doing great strategic litigation work. If you're interested in supporting human rights defenders like myself and others, there's an organization called Defenders Coalition. They put people in safe houses, they cover their back, they check their phones to make sure that they're safe, and they again, are available and looking for support. On the women's rights issues, CREW is a great organization. I could go on the whole night. Okay. There are organizations. For Amnesty International, please go to the website www.amnestykenya.org. You will see 2 little buttons at the top. One is to join, become a member. There's a membership subscription fee, and then you can also donate. And one of the commitments that we have been asked to make, or rather have been asked to develop, is a structure around is ensuring that for those donations that come from the diaspora, that we have a clear communication system back to them on the work that we're doing, so that people who invest that $1, that $2, whatever it is that you give, it essentially, you can see the value of that shilling, the value of that dollar. We're about to set up something called the Public Defenders Fund. This is a fund that is not paying for Irungo salary or any of our staff salaries. What it will do essentially is to provide services to people who are hurt. Just to give you an example, all of the people who were abducted that came out had to go through psychosocial counseling. On average, you need at least 3 sessions. In some cases, there are some people who are abducted who have gone into 10, 15 sessions, right? And it's important for us to keep them whole, to keep them, courageous, and to really give them a sense that they were loved and they were protected in their moment of need. So you can't imagine how cheap it is to actually take somebody through 3 psychosocial sessions. It's just $60, right? So if you
$60,
$60,
okay,
for 3 sessions.
For 3 sessions.
Yeah. Oh wow, okay.
And then there are other things like the third thing I'd probably say is that there are many young people who were really victimized during the Gen Zs. If they weren't abducted, if they weren't killed, some of them lost their school fees, their school bursaries, let me put it that way, not their fees. There are a couple I know who had got scholarships to go and study in Israel to do agriculture. There's another one that was on the verge of going to Germany.
How did they lose them?
They became notorious. They were captured in the press, and then those governments decided that these are not the people that they should be giving bursaries to. They withdrew their bursaries.
Wow. Okay, that is something that's not even been on the news. We're hearing it for the first time.
Yeah, no, I know this because we debriefed with a lot of the Gen Z that were violated, and to be honest, their lives are not necessarily stronger as a result of what they went through.
What happened to that guy who said, "Mr. Speaker, sir"? Because it's been a mystery. We don't know his name. And he was the face. Yeah, at the peak, he was the face. But this guy just totally disappeared from the face of the planet. Who is he? What happened to him?
So we have no information about what happened to him. I was trying to remember his name. He had that moment. I mean, the occupation of the parliament on June the 25th didn't take hours. It was roughly about just under 10 minutes. It was 9.5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So it was a very short moment, but that was probably the most dramatic one.
Yes.
And we don't have any information about where he is. I still, feel a degree of pain, particularly for the family of Denzel Mondi, who we do know what happened to him. He was in Parliament that day. He went back to Jekiukwat and basically was found in a quarry 4 days later, floating. And it was alleged that he had essentially left the university and gone 60 clicks away, and threw himself over the whatever. His case is still an open case for us. So there are many people whose cases, I think out of the 89 abductions that we saw over the last year, 25 people are still missing. So 25 people are still not there.
Okay.
So I think on the issue of contribution, there are things you can do. And, I do hope that this conversation is not getting too heavy for people, because I think for me, who really has walked through this journey very intensely with my staff and with others, we have only but optimism and vigilance and a sense of commitment and patriotism that actually these things can be brought to an end. But they can only be brought to an end if more people begin to weigh in, begin to get engaged, begin to support the organizations that I talked about. Let me turn to Peter's question. So, first of all, Peter, let me invite you now on live radio, social media, TV, and all the platforms to become a member of Amnesty International. Your question suggests that you would be a great member. Your disappointment in me in the talk with on Head to Head is regrettable, but I accept it. There's always a time. One thing I learned is that you can always get up and do things differently. The structure of the debate was not actually designed for me. It was designed mostly for Kimani Ichung'wah.
Yeah, and with his red bottom shoes. Yeah. And I like the lady who pointed that out.
Gen Z.
Yes.
My God. We didn't see it.
Paying attention to details.
Details.
Yes.
And I think even the majority leader was surprised that had been picked up.
Oh, you could see the look on his face.
So I think so it was set up in a particular way. I did share the one statistic which I will share again now, which I think is really important. There is still people who think what happened last year was not significant historically. Right. So beyond the presence of thousands of people in the streets, most people don't know that the number of people who were killed last year is 3 times the number that were killed in the Saba Saba rallies of 1990. Wow. 3 times.
And Saba Saba was the big one in Kenya's history after independence.
Restored multi-party democracy. It restored, the idea that freedoms of association and expression would be a reality for most Kenyans, and it began the process towards the constitution. 2 times as many people were arrested last year than were arrested back in 1990.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
I think it's really important to just understand that the level of excessive force that was used against primarily unarmed protesters was unwarranted, it was excessive, and it was extremely violent for a state that had full control of its different arms.